Now, I don't think any country on this planet can whoop the United States, but let me make that crystal clear. But I don't think we can enter any war without us having some type of casualties and or financial burdens on the United States.
I will say this in response to what you just said, though. China and North Korea are building up their militaries to fight the United States. So we're not just going to be fighting Russia necessarily. We're not just going to be necessarily fighting Iran and their proxy armies, that they have in the Middle East. China and North Korea are prepared for all-out war with the United States, and that's a little concerning.
Yeah, and they're working together. I think North Korea benefits the most because he helped Putin when Putin was in a crutch. He ain't have nobody. Now, North Korea, they have a large military. They have a lot of foot soldiers in which Putin needed. So he gave them a lot of foot soldiers, a lot of people that could be potential casualties because they don't value soldiers like Americans do. They can lose thousands of soldiers every day and won't nobody say anything.
The Russians have a massive army as well. Like I've been hearing, reports from troops on the ground in Ukraine saying that the Russians are just sending in waves of troops and waves of soldiers. I don't think we really understand how big Russia is and the size of their army. Now, it's been a lot of casualties. They say up to 1 million casualties for Russia so far in this war, and that's a massive number, but the Russians have a lot of soldiers to throw at you. Korea has a lot of soldiers. We know China has the biggest army in the world. Maybe not the strongest, but they certainly seem to have the biggest army in the world. They're going to be able to put soldiers on the ground in waves. But China is technologically equal to the United States and their navy. China has the biggest navy in the world right now. So we're on the cusp of something very serious. And also, too, going back to Iran, right? Iranian oil has been banned on the world market, but you know who's buying it, right? China and Russia. So they're all working together, and we see the United States being confronted with this issue of Iran, and I just believe that that's going to bring in China and Russia and what any other allies that they have in allied with them.
And we have to be mindful. In my opinion, China would be a trifecta for that Asian region, as far as China, North Korea, Russia. Over in there, they're going to align because geographically they have to, the same way the United States and Canada. Geographically, we have to because we both got nukes, and we can't be next door neighbors just looking at each other crazy, and we some nuclear powers. So, and it's very important that everybody see what's going on here in Israel and Iran. Iran do have Israel do have a right to defend themselves. Iran do not need no nuclear powers. They've came out and said it, if they get nuclear, that they will lay us out.
Well,
they said it.
You see what they're doing to Israel just with their rocket arsenal, right? Their rockets, they're just shooting rockets off. And Israel's caught doing damage in Iran as well, but Iran is doing major damage without having to put troops on the ground. All they're doing is, and they have a whole consortium of different types of rockets and drones and things along those lines that that they are very proud of in terms of their military strength. So it's heating up for sure, and the United States is putting more troops, more military capabilities into the Middle East, aircraft carriers and those kind of things. They've already been supporting the Israelis with shooting down Iranian drones and Iranian missiles. So the United States is indirectly involved. But the big question is, do they get directly involved? Do they start bombing Iran themselves? And Iran, I heard this morning, the Iranian Supreme Leader says Iran will not compromise. So the lines are drawn. Lines are drawn, man.
Yeah, and let's just be crystal clear. Iran ain't got no chance for a war with America.
No,
let's make this crystal clear. Iran, you will get your butt kicked by the United States. And I believe if we had to go in there, we just need to bomb them with 1,000 missiles and don't even put nobody on the ground. That's how I feel. With that being said, I pray and hope we do not get dragged into no war, because it's a lot of people, a lot of politicians that want to drag this war for reasons that's not even to keep Israel safe or to keep America safe. It's people that want to start this war just because Trump don't want a war. The president of peace, huh? Okay, we gonna show you, right? Stuff like that. Them Iranians, the Afghans did it, the Iraqis did it, and this is why we don't want to go into a war with them, because those, and I'm going to say this, those extremist Muslims, it's a small group of them. I'm not talking about Muslims. I respect every religion. I'm talking about those extremists. They don't fight wars in the battlefield. Mm-hmm. They hide in hospitals. They hide in schools. They hide in apartment buildings. So then when you send a missile to where they sent the missile from, you hit a school. Oh my goodness, it's war crimes, right? So they play that type of game. They're not no real fighters. They're going to scatter, and it's going to be a long, drawn out hunt to hunt.
Well, they know they can't. They know you cannot defeat the United States military in a head-up battle, mm-hmm. right? The Vietnamese knew that, right? All the Muslim militias in the Middle East know you cannot just fight a direct war with the United States. That's not a battle you're going to win. So you have to resort to, different types of military tactics where you can inflict casualties without necessarily, incurring casualties. Because if you fight the United States head on, you
lost.
Whether man, come on. So the United States military is strong for a reason. And it's just tough to fight a war against a conventional army when you have soldiers with AKs and RPGs. You don't have helicopters, you don't have an Air Force, you don't have a Navy. That's not a winning battle. What I do think, the only thing I see with Iran is Russia and China providing support for them, right? Providing the military support. I mean, not just military, but Air Force, naval support. Because I did hear Trump say we have complete control over the skies over Iran.
Yeah, and with that, Russia, expectantly, Russia said they're not getting involved with Iran. They're not supplying any type of military because they know that's going to backfire on them in a whole bunch of different ways. I think China not going to bat for Iran. They're not putting their sovereignty on the line for Iran. It's just not happening. My advice is the Iranian people, y'all need to stand up. Elon got Starlink available for y'all. Y'all better start sending some emails to the United States, letting them know where them soldiers is at so they don't come and get you. But what they're trying to do is, them leaders in Iran, they're trying to cause disruption in the entire Middle East. And it's all by design. They like confusion. They've been in confusion for thousands of years. Some of those, and I'm gonna say it, some of those Iranians, they've been fighting for thousands of years. They love this fighting stuff. That's what they know.
You see 300, right?
Yep.
Yeah, Persian Empire.
Yep.
And the Greeks.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So, and that was foretold in the book of Daniel, right? The war between the Persians and the Greeks. Daniel could refer to it as the North and the South. And this war as well certainly seems to have the hallmarks of all those things we've read and listened to and heard about all our lives in the Bible as well. So, it's serious, bro. And I find it hard to believe otherwise that we're already at the doorstep of World War III.
This is it. And the biggest thing, I want America, I want the world to really see is that this is about money and power. Yes, money and power. When it's a war in the Middle East, right? Oil goes up.
But what do they have over there? What's their number one resource?
It's the oil.
Come on now.
That oil is a trillion,
$1 billion business.
trillions with a T.
The Saudis have more money than you can even imagine. You see what I'm saying? They come out with the golf league, with the soccer league, and you know how they're getting players? Paying them ridiculous amounts of money. So oil is a number one resource across the world. Every country uses it. Some countries have more than others, obviously. But we've been going through this oil war since the Iraq War.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what this is about, man. That's what seems to be the bottom line here. Control over the oil, and maybe they're framing it as saying Iran can have a nuclear weapon, right? But is that necessarily their true intentions?
Absolutely. And it's very important for those that don't know what's going on. You need to be involved. And like I said, we're not going to get into racism, right, on this particular topic. But a lot of the real discrimination is economics. I mean, just think about this. It was a study, and this is why it's important that everybody be involved in their local government. I'm not saying you got to go to every city hall meeting or anything like that, but just have a know of what's going on in your community.
I agree.
Check this out. 67% of eligible voters that make over $100,000, 67% of people that make over $100,000 vote. 33% of those, 33% of people that make under 20,000, only 33% of voters that make under 20,000 vote. So it's pretty much saying poor people don't vote. So from a political standpoint, why do you think nothing is being allocated for poor people? Why do you think the homeless crisis is rising across the country? Because they saying, this is data, they saying poor people don't vote. And let me just give you a food for thought as we move on. Politicians don't look at all of Americans. They're not here to help everybody. And I'm gonna tell you what a politician said to me when I got into politics very early on. They only care about registered voters. If you don't vote, you can't make a difference. That's just facts. And it's funny because I remember I was out years ago, I was campaigning when I ran my first election, and I was just out in the community talking to everybody and get registered to vote Perry, and everything, just going my whole spiel and everything. And I had a guy that was a Democrat, very prominent in the neighborhood. I don't have no problem with the guy. And he was just like, man, I appreciate what you're doing, but man, to be honest with you, these dudes in the hood don't vote. You wasting your time. And that's what a person said to me. And I was like, yo, man, we still got to educate them. And I tell people straight up, I'm independent. Even if you don't even vote for me, vote, register to vote for somebody. That is your right as an American citizen. And notice I said American citizen. If you are not an American citizen, you should not vote. If you are not an American citizen, you are a guest in this country. And I'm gonna take what Arnold Schwarzenegger just said. The former Republican governor of California. If you are not an American citizen, you a guest. You're supposed to be on your best behavior. And that's where I stand with that.
Yeah, I would just add to that by just saying, be informed. Whether you vote or not, be informed. Watch Fox, watch CNN, watch MSNBC, watch British Broadcasting Channel News, BBC News. Be informed about what's going on. Watch local news so that you can stay informed on things that pertain to you, so that when the opportunity does come around, these smaller initiatives and propositions that come around every 4 years, you are informed on what's happening. You can put a vote towards something that's going to directly impact you in your day-to-day life. Stay informed. Watch all news. listen to Republicans, listen to the Democrats, and make a decision that's best for you. It doesn't matter what side you choose to vote for. Choose and vote for what's best for you and your family. That's just